Reddit, a microcosm of endless information posted by users daily, ranging from the weirdest to the most sinister content. You're never for sure what you'll find up here. If you do a lot of digging, you'll definitely find some very odd content, some that either make you laugh or that'll make your skin crawl. Well, tonight, we'll be taking a dive into one of the weirdest posts that I have found. This on May 16th, 2013, at 6:26 p.m., a Redditor of the name Poisoned by Mom would make their post on the Off My Chest subreddit. Their post is as follows: My mother has poisoned me. This is a throwaway account. Ever since I became an adult about a decade ago, my mother has been against me moving out the house. I finally got a job as a line cook 3 years ago. My mother and rest of the family, which includes my sister and my father, has been against it, mainly seeing that such a job cannot sustain me, which is true. They also said that I would hate working, which turned out to be false. But a year and a half later, I quit due to health reasons. The following spring, I got a new job as a computer programmer, and then while they seemed supportive at first, my mother and sister, who I lived with, gradually became hostile. Eventually I moved out the house, and then about a month later, I lost my job, and about 3 months later, I moved back home. Everything was cool at first, but as I was getting calls from recruiters and going to job interviews, they gradually became more hostile again, accusing me of being distant and not caring for them. However, they seemed to be very controlling and hateful of the fact that I wanted to move out and wanted a decent job. So last month, I finally got that job as a programmer again, but it was out of town. I had just enough money to relocate to the new city. They became very hostile starting a few days before I left, accusing me of not loving them, of actually hating them. On the day before I was scheduled to leave my mother, she gave me 2 of those styrofoam ramen noodle cups. She tore that cardboard covering that normally comes with it and threw it away. I was suspicious that they would try to sabotage my life, so I was careful into not trying to anger them. She gave me a few more food items, which I didn't use, to take on the trip with me. When I arrived at my new city and entered my hotel room, I chilled out. I was to go to work the next day, so after the first day of work, I ate a cup of ramen noodles, and I felt ill. I knew that feeling because my sister fed me something that made me feel the same way in late 2011, which I then assumed was because of my recent illness. I felt weak, lightheaded, and short of breath. I drank water to make me feel better, because that's what I did last time that happened to me. Over the week, my mother kept calling me, making sure to remind me to eat my ramen noodles. I was short on cash then, so I was waiting for my first paycheck. I never told her that I ate it. I suspected then that I had been poisoned, and after doing some googling, I believed it was cyanide. Now that is something you should ever have to think, that your own mother would do that to you. So I resisted that thought, because I simply could not bear to think that. So I went to cyanidetest.com and ordered a kit, and I tried it. Now look at the graphics and the video on this page. Now, here are the results of my test, which they would provide an Imgur link. I guess I'm gonna have to call the cops, and I will never speak to my family again. Poisoned by Mom had provided us with an image of the cyanide test and also where they got it from. After scrolling through the website OP provided and doing some research on the website, which is called KIMC, it does seem to be legitimate. If you go to their cyanide detectors page, you can find cyanide detectors, which then you can buy. Comparing the tester from the website and the image OP provided of their test, they do seem to match. Here's the image of the cyanide test Poisoned by Mom provided. The test says that a blue shows up where it says cyanide detected, then cyanide is in the food, which is shown in the image. A Redditor of the name Fisk in the comment section gave some pretty good advice on what to do in this situation. Their comment is as follows: Please let your employers know. You don't have to tell them the whole story, you just have to tell them, my family's whack, if they call me and tell you something, then confirm it with me first, or some such. From the sounds of it, it's possible that they may have already interfered with your past employment. About a day later, Poisoned by Mom would reply to this comment and say, I've always wondered if they had anything to do with me being released from my last job. I think this is a good thing to do in this situation. If Poisoned by Mom's mother or family try to interfere with OP's past employment, it's good to let their new employer know of the situation so their family can't possibly sabotage OP's new job from them this time. Another Redditor of the name DBC Space would also make a wonderful suggestion. Their comment is as follows: Fisk makes an excellent suggestion. It's possible your employer has an attorney on retainer, or at least knows somebody that would talk to you without charging you for the privilege. I hate to say it, but telling your employer will also serve to document your concerns in the event something does happen to you. Don't breathe a word of suspicion to the family. Get a lawyer if you can. Go through the phone book and call them all to try to tell your story. Call or go to the police repeatedly, ask for detectives and not uniformed cops. Try to go directly to the DA's office. You cross state lines, call the FBI, get somebody bona fide on your side, and do it soon. Now evidence, it's simple. Call your mom, tell her that you've been getting sick like you do sometimes. She'll know you've been eating the food. Tell her you're missing days of work because of it and would really appreciate it if she would send a care package since your income is infected. You can't pay rent and buy food on the few dollars you've earned. You've already been rationing the food she gave you. Surely once you feel better and you can work the hours you want, you'll be able to be self-sufficient and won't have to bother her. If you're right, she'll want to keep you knocked down so you lose her job too and have to move back home. If she sends more cyanide, then you've got her. Bear in mind, you doing it yourself will probably not be enough to prove in court. You have to get somebody involved beyond your employer, a friend, etc. I think this is also great advice. At this point in time, it was probably Poisoned by Mom's best interest to get a lawyer and to also obtain more evidence of the cyanide poisoning to build a case. I had one question lingering in the back of my mind though. How did Poisoned by Mom actually know they were poisoned by cyanide to then get a cyanide tester? Well, after scrolling through some of the comments, someone actually asked this, and Poisoned by Mom responded. Their comments are as follow. The part that really bowed me over is that you knew what cyanide poisoning felt like to begin with. Can you give us some background on that story? Poisoned by Mom would reply to this and say, I didn't know what it felt like. All I knew was that this was a familiar feeling that I had when my sister fed me that stuff that made me feel the exact same way earlier, and I suspected that I was poisoned since I just finished a bowl of ramen noodles. I then googled it, realized that the symptoms matched cyanide poisoning, did some more research on cyanide poisoning, and then ordered the test kit. I still wasn't ready to totally accept that I was poisoned, and was hesitant to go to the police, just in case that I wasn't poisoned. Okay, this seems like a plausible answer. At about 8:45 a.m. the next day, Poisoned by Mom would give us an update. The update is as follows. Update, 8:45 a.m. I am currently in Topeka, Kansas. I work downtown in a government office building, which has a police department. I visited the Capitol Police Station here and spoke to an officer. I showed him the evidence, but he said that he could do nothing about it since the package was opened and it might have been contaminated. So, does anyone have any ideas? After this, it was mostly silence from Poisoned by Mom. Redditors continued to give their suggestions and others with their opinions. After scrolling down far into this post, someone asked for an update. About a whole year later, Poisoned by Mom would link this Redditor a link to a new post detailing about their update. The new post is as follows. My mother has poisoned me, number 2. I was only able to file a police report, but only that, and so far, the police do not have enough evidence to investigate. I have gotten no contact with my family. I currently live in a cheap motel in Topeka, Kansas. Yesterday, after getting home from work, I work from the Kansas state government as a software developer. The lady at the front desk told me that my mother called them to speak to me. For security reasons, the motel needs both the name and room number, and my mother didn't have my room number. She didn't even attempt to call my cell phone, which makes me believe that she just wanted to know if I was staying there and where. So this morning, I leave a little earlier than usual. The sky was still in the early twilight phase. I took the bus to and from work because my car blew a gasket almost a year ago, before I moved and I got my current job. As I was walking towards the bus stop, I saw someone in a strange car. She told me that if she visited, she would be using a rental car, using the finger to tell me to come here. I looked, but kept on walking. Then she opened the car door, and she was in a black outfit and a hood, which is strange for my mother. And I knew it was her when I saw her face. She told me to come here and I said no, and I kept a good distance. She said that she just wanted to know if I was okay, so I said yes, I am. She said that she just wanted a hug, but I said no. I don't know if anyone else was in the car with her. I ended up taking another bus to get to my job. So when I get off of work, what is the best way to go home, or should I even go? If not, where should I go? I really think that this is not a safe place for me in Topeka, so if anyone knows any net development jobs, please PM me. Also, please give me some advice. Many Redditors were suggesting getting a restraining order, which I do agree with here. If Poisoned by Mom's mother is a threat of stalking, they could do this to alleviate it. After digging through the comments, a Redditor the name Cyan Silver had a great question. Their question was, what does she have to gain from your illness or death? I wonder if she had a life insurance policy in her name that would certainly give her motive. Police will only take this seriously if you provide evidence for motive. Poisoned by Mom will reply to this and say, I really don't know. I will never know because I am not in contact with her anymore. I can only make guesses. Some have said Munchausen syndrome by proxy. It is obvious that she didn't want me to leave the house and live on my own. Cyan Silver would then ask how Poisoned by Mom was doing, which they replied with, I have moved out of the state since making my last thread with this account. I'm doing very well with a nice job, and I'm in better health. After seeing this final update from Poisoned by Mom, I am glad they are in a safe situation now. Hopefully after these 9 years, they haven't had to worry about this happening again. I doubt we will get another further update from OP, but hey, Poisoned by Mom, if you're watching this, maybe consider giving us an update in the comments below. If you can't or don't want to, that's perfectly fine. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. I've created a new subreddit. The subreddit will be used for a way I can interact with my viewers and also get new video suggestions. So if you're interested in that, link will be in the description. As always guys,
Have a nice day.